Colin, Sean McVay and Les Snead are locked in for next season, but now the question becomes, what about Matthew Stafford? The likely MVP should return for his 18th season. I'm told he's coming back, but Snead addressed that future. Here we go.
At the macro level, I think when Matthew's on the horse, we go, let's make the most of our time with Matthew. And we're well aware that there will be a time where we have to transition. So you kind of do both at the same time, because there will be two different teams with or without Matthew, obviously with the position he plays and how important that position is and how well he plays it.
I actually think it's pretty cool. I've thought about this with the Rams. They have 2 firsts this year. Don't worry about a quarterback. And it's not a great quarterback draft. Just stack the team, because the following year, you're probably going to have to give up all sorts of draft picks to get your quarterback. And the Rams are still very young on defense. So why not just ride with Stafford? Instead of worrying about his replacement, you got Garoppolo as a backup. He's capable to win games. Take every one of these picks and make sure they fit with Stafford and just make a run at the Super Bowl. I mean, Sean McVay's made 2 Super Bowls. He gets to 3. He's on a short list of coaches who can do that. We're so worried about replacing players. You don't get many Max Crosbys. You don't get many Patrick Surtain for the Broncos. Those are once-a-decade players. Don't worry about replacing them. Just stack players around them. You may never get. The Rams will probably never get a quarterback ever again as good as Matt Stafford.
All right, well, let's not get too carried away with absolutes. The underlying sentiment being expressed by Colin has merit, but I find the specific framing and delivery of the argument to be somewhat unconvincing. From my perspective, the current imperative for the franchise is to commit fully to pursuing a Super Bowl championship in the immediate term. Matthew Stafford is unequivocally the quarterback for that mission. He delivered an extraordinary, special caliber performance throughout the entirety of the past campaign. This roster is demonstrably of a Super Bowl echelon, possessing the quality to win it all. If we were to hypothetically reset the season, replaying every contest under identical conditions with health held constant, my evaluation would remain unchanged. My confidence in the Los Angeles Rams, as I articulated all season, would be paramount. I trusted them above all others. Matthew Stafford performed at a superlative level, exhibiting a profound, almost telepathic connection with head coach Sean McVay. That core quartet, McVay, Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Devonta, or the relevant star pass catchers, represents a potent, explosive force capable of dissecting any defensive scheme. That collective firepower alone provides a foundational advantage. Therefore, the notion of utilizing significant draft capital this year to pivot toward a defensive overhaul, or any other major shift, while Stafford remains the signal caller, feels misguided. He is your cornerstone. The primary complication with a full-fledged commitment to Stafford is the unavoidable reality of his age and the attendant vulnerability to injury, as witnessed this past season with his back issue. The concern is not a sudden, cliff-like decline in arm talent or processing ability. I see no evidence of that. The apprehension resides in the physical toll, the cumulative wear that could manifest in a hip, shoulder, or back ailment following a hit. That uncertainty is the most disquieting aspect of the long-term calculus. However, when you possess a talent of Matthew Stafford's caliber, my philosophy is to ride that wave until the wheels conclusively come off. If that strategic path results in a future scenario where the franchise is not optimally positioned to secure a coveted quarterback prospect in a subsequent draft, so be it. That is a trade-off I willingly accept. The opportunity to contend for championships with an elite veteran is worth that potential future cost. The situation appears relatively straightforward to me. Regarding Colin's broader point about stacking the roster and surrounding the quarterback with talent, that is a universal axiom, not a Stafford-specific strategy. Every organization in the league is perpetually attempting to accumulate as much talent as possible. It is the fundamental goal of team building. Therefore, while accurate, the statement lacks specificity. It becomes more intriguing when he suggests the team would be constructed differently with Stafford versus without him. I must confess, I am uncertain what that signifies in practical terms. We often hear the refrain, they need to build around quarterback X. The subsequent blueprint is invariably similar. Provide a great offensive line, a need for every quarterback, Establish an effective run game, beneficial for every offense. Acquire a deep threat receiver, desired by every play caller. Field a competent defense, a requirement for every championship aspirant, and pair him with a capable offensive coach, a prerequisite for any quarterback's success. It essentially translates to build a good football team. The specifics of how you build it, whether emphasizing a power run scheme for a less mobile passer or incorporating more play action for a pocket technician, are nuances within that universal framework. Perhaps the implication is that with a less proficient quarterback, you might rely more heavily on the run game or a dominant defense. I can comprehend that logic. However, when constructing a roster with the explicit intent of winning a Super Bowl, the ambition remains maximalist. Consider the Rams' own approach. They have an elite quarterback in Stafford and an elite coach in McVay. Did they subsequently decide, well, we don't need an elite offensive line or multiple elite receivers? No. They aggressively pursued and retained top-tier talent like Puka Nacua and prioritized line play. The objective is always to amass as many high-level contributors as possible, irrespective of the quarterback's stature. The argument could be made that Stafford might not need a second high-priced receiver, freeing capital for a defensive star. Yet, the Rams' actions demonstrated a commitment to arming Stafford with every possible weapon. If you adopt that philosophy for an elite quarterback, you would likely strive for it with any quarterback you intend to build around. The more consequential distinction in team construction, in my view, relates to the timeline dictated by the quarterback's age and anticipated career horizon. This is where a crucial, albeit delicate, internal conversation is necessary. As a decision maker, I would seek a candid dialogue with Stafford. I would need to understand his realistic self-assessment. How many more years does he genuinely intend to play? Is it 2? 3? Does he view the upcoming season as potentially his last? This honest appraisal directly informs strategic decisions. Beyond intention, there's a physical reality. I would need his forthright assessment of his body's resilience. Does he believe he is more susceptible to a season-altering injury now than he was 3 years ago? This isn't about doubting his competitiveness, but about pragmatic risk assessment. If the organization believes he remains special, and he conveys both the desire and a reasonable belief in his durability to play for multiple more seasons, then the directive is clear. Go all in, year after year. This timeline alters the valuation of assets. If you believe you have only 1 or 2 more seasons of elite Stafford play, you might leverage draft capital to acquire established, win-now veterans, players who can make an immediate impact, not prospects requiring years of development. The difference in team building becomes less about schematic fit and more about the age and readiness of the acquired talent. Do you draft a raw but talented defensive end? Or do you trade for a proven edge rusher like a Max Crosby, using him as an illustrative example? The championship window's proximity demands the latter approach. My current stance, assuming Stafford communicates a commitment to playing multiple more seasons and the injury risk is perceived as manageable, not significantly greater than for an average quarterback, is one of aggressive pursuit. You have a special quarterback, a special offensive mind, and a special offensive system. The focus must be on the present moment. I've expressed this before, even prior to the playoffs. For a franchise as well-run as the Rams, with the combination of McVay and Stafford, securing only 1 Super Bowl championship would feel somewhat like an underachievement. In my conceptual framework for elite franchises, winning 2 Super Bowls represents the tangible, fulfilled goal of a properly constructed contender. A single title is magnificent, but with this core, it feels like the baseline of expectation. Aiming for 3 is ambitious. Falling short of 2 would prompt questions about missed opportunities in subsequent seasons. Achieving a second championship also provides a cushion for the inevitable transitional period. It alleviates the pressure of a perfect succession plan. If you secure another Lombardi trophy and then endure a couple of seasons where the quarterback pipeline isn't perfectly aligned, the organizational sentiment is far more palatable. You can more comfortably navigate a bridge year or a developmental phase when you have multiple championships cementing the era's legacy. The Rams have already demonstrated a masterful capacity to navigate cap space and asset management. A common mischaracterization is that they sacrificed their future to acquire Stafford. That's inaccurate. They mortgaged a portion of it. A mortgage implies a calculated risk with a plan for repayment or management. A sacrifice implies irrevocable loss. They adeptly managed that mortgaged future and quickly rebuilt a competitive roster. If you maintain faith in Stafford's ability to perform at an elite level and remain relatively healthy for the next few seasons, I see no compelling reason to deviate from that aggressive win-now model. The blueprint for contention is established. The primary variable is the durability and longevity of the central figure under center. Provided that holds, the path forward is to continue leveraging assets to maximize the championship probability during this clearly defined window of opportunity. That is the essence of managing a veteran-led contender. Those are my reflections. I am exceedingly interested to hear your perspectives. What is your assessment of Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams' current trajectory? What should the organizational mentality be? How would you advise they handle upcoming drafts? What is your projection for Stafford's remaining career span? How does a front office optimally manage the situation of a quarterback performing at an elite level whose retirement horizon and health are the primary uncertainties? Share your thoughts below. I read every single comment. Whether you find yourself in agreement or vehement disagreement with my take, let's engage in discussion. Let's debate. But ultimately, let's share in the analysis. Please consider subscribing to the channel. We are building a fantastic community here, and I would be thrilled to have you participate. My aim is to cultivate a space where we feel a genuine connection, a shared enthusiasm for the sport. I believe we are making significant progress toward that objective. Also, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, as it substantially assists with visibility and distribution within the platform's algorithm. Thank you so much for your time and engagement.